Can you believe it? It's been 10 weeks. For 10 weeks, we've had a blast sharing our preseason elk hunting guide with each and every one of you. All about the what, when, where, why, and how of elk hunting. But tonight, we're taking it one step further, y'all. We're going live to answer questions from our ElkBros Mailbox and from you, our grinders. So here's your chance to ask those lingering questions or discuss those topics you're still wondering about. Strap it on, y'all, because it's going to be full on. So my friends, pull up a chair, adjust your volumes just right, and welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunting.
Welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunting, brought to you by ElkBros.com, with your host Gilbert Ornelas and elk hunting coach Joe Gillia. You want to hunt elk, and they live to hunt elk. Their goal is to share with you what they have learned grinding it out for over 35 seasons, doing what they love. So come on into camp and set a spell. Welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunters.
Hello there, everyone. If it's your first time with us, glad to have you. Hope you enjoy our show. And for those of you live with us tonight on YouTube, as well as those blue collar hunters following our show and grinding it out with us every week, welcome back to Elk Camp. I'm Gilbert Ornelas, the host of your show, coming to you from Spring, Texas. And that's right, from the DFW area in Katy, Texas, we got the Venezuelan Mafia in the house. Luis Gonzalez and Manano Grateron. And from Cimarron, your elk hunting coaches are in the house tonight. Leroy the Ninja Chavez, and that's right, WWJGD. What would Joe Gillia do in all that snow, Joe? What's going on, brother?
Yeah, we got lots of snow, man. We're just glad that tonight happened, man.
Absolutely.
It was not looking good earlier today with power outages. Hey, everybody. Hey, guys, man.
Hey, Joe, are we live yet?
Yes, we are live, bro.
Because I don't see it in the webpage, man, in the YouTube.
Yeah, we're live right now, buddy.
Live right now.
Just live.
All right, man.
Straight up.
And to everybody watching, Tim Rieger, Shane, Tony Brown, John, all you guys, man, start putting your name where you're from so people learn, and we can give shout outs as we go. Sean, John Child, man, look at all these people.
Scott Baker, Charlie Newcomb,
cool, man.
Sean Dawson.
Charlie made it. Sean Dawson. Everybody's in the house, man. So you start cranking on that typing, man, and
I will, brother.
so listen, everybody. What we want to do is we're going to go ahead and let you know how this is going to work. Everybody, feel free to ask us any questions during the show. The guys will be kind of jotting those down, looking for them, and bringing them up if we don't see it right away, because you guys are a little bit of a 30-second delay from what we are doing right now. So if it comes up, look at that, John Johnson, Minnesota. Hey, there's Diego Otero, man, and Elmer. I saw Richard Flock in the house, Scott Baker from Parker, Mike Wilson from Ogden, Utah. Woo!
Shane Rasmussen from Garden City, Utah.
Man, we are all over the place.
Absolutely.
Dude, this is
Eric
way cool,
on-
man.
On the next rid, what's up, Eric?
Pueblo.
So, guys, remember.
Austin Bohannon from Bastrop, Texas in the house.
Look at there, Basco. So if you guys have a question or comment to a particular person, make sure you direct it to them. That way, you know, when you're saying how great Manano is, Luis isn't taking credit. You know, so we don't want that occurring.
Okay,
right?
we don't want any liars. We don't want any liars. We want.
If you all have a question about beaches, please direct it to Joe or Chav. Don't even ask me about beach.
We will also be adding some of our ElkBros Mailbox questions during the show, as well as asking you guys some things as well out there. So, again, remember, we do have a delay. So, you know, after we ask it, it might take us a few seconds before we see it. All right? So hopefully that all works out. Got it?
Got it.
Yep. And let's see. Manano.
Yes, sir.
If they have any Venezuelan Mafia applicants in the crowd?
Yeah, that's gonna be me answering those questions because Luis is not a. I mean, I don't consider
Okay.
Luis a Venezuelan.
Hey, I'm sorry, but they're already saying it. Look, man, Luis is the the leader of the Venezuelan Mafia.
All right, we're not gonna make
They're
That's
not.
Scott Baker, man. That's
Hey,
Baker.
and one of the things that the people is requesting is to please not that they don't need any information about the man pawn. So let's keep that out of the conversation today.
Come on, fellas.
You betcha, Charlie. No worries, man. I got you covered, man.
Most people want to know about it.
Charlie Newberry texted me and said, I just had to look it up. And he said, after I looked it up, man, he said, he was rolling, man.
Look, I can't take credit for that. That's Big Black Boykin that come out with that. Y'all watch the show. Big Black. I mean, look, it's Chris Boykin who passed away, but he's the one that aired it on the Rob Dyrdek show.
Everybody that's asked me, I was like, guys, we can't make this crap up, man. It's just what happened, man.
It's a real deal.
Yeah.
Oh man. So, the other thing is, hey Chav, if any of these guys, man, if they have a favorite hunting hole, what should they be doing, man?
Just send us the coordinates. We'd be happy to help.
Yeah.
And who knows, we might end up there too. So.
Oh, and before we started to shout out, I want to give a special shout out to Marshall Hayes. Marshall sent something in to me, and he says that according to UNESCO, now I'm sure all you guys are up with what UNESCO is, right?
Mm-mm.
No?
No.
No, you don't know. UNESCO is the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. And he says that according to UNESCO, he is from the city that offers the best 23 miles of flavorful meals. It's known as the City of Gastronomy. You know what that is?
No.
Because I always thought
We're going to take his word for it, Joe.
it's Tucson, Arizona. Tucson,
Arizona. I've been to Tucson for sure, but I didn't know it had 23 miles of flavor for meals. But I'm going to check it out when I'm there next time, Mr. Marshall Hayes.
Well, I got here Mr. Eric Arangon.
Uh-huh.
Arango, Manano es el más chingón. Oh, Eric, I love you, buddy. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and then read he's actually getting upgrades and improvements from down below.
El más chingón.
He's saying, Luis, you got me upgraded to some serious arrow bombs, and they are hitting hard. What have you done for him, Manano?
Well,
No, but he's the chingon.
at least I made him laughing really hard. Oh, we got Mr. Derek Baker. He's the most chingon. He's the one.
I'm going to get this rolling while we're going here, and when we catch some of this, because Scott Baker's already on how many ply toilet paper and everything. Man.
Boys, I'm going to tell you what, don't mess with the Charmin, okay?
No,
Charmin is the best.
No.
But what I want to do now
Don't squeeze it.
is we 10 weeks, man. Over 10 weeks, we've been covering
That's right, Joe.
a ton of topics, man. We covered on commitment, preseason tips and focus areas, the best week to hunt elk in 2021, conditioning, situational prep and scenarios, mindset, learning to paint with your elk calling, elk scouting focus, and then we went to gear and setups, man. So we've been covering a bunch of different stuff. And what I would like from you guys that are watching is we're interested to know from you, what was your favorite topic that we covered in the series, and maybe a short reason why. So if you'll kind of start putting that in, we'll start asking, we'll start hitting a little bit of that. But let me ask you guys, let's ask ourselves, the crew here. Which of these were some of your favorite topics or discussions that we had in the series?
Well, for me,
All
Joe,
of them.
learning to paint with your elk calling. I mean, I get down to brass tacks. That's what, I'm trying to get better at every day, and I thought it was really cool how we broke it down, and broke it down on what bulls want, we want to be a lover first before a fighter. And, I just thought it was really cool how we broke it all down and set it up for our listeners to really understand the different scenarios that we had and be able to use that when they go out in the woods, when they go out there and have their own encounters. I think that was, I think anybody that's an elk hunter that's done this before, calling is just imperative that you have that skill set in your quiver,
No, absolutely. I could tell from the response that we got from the calling series there that there were a lot of people that were into that, man.
And I hate to make shameless plugs, but our base camp series, the best series out there that you've ever, that's out there. I mean, if you guys go to it, it's got scenario based calling in it, the whole 9 yards, what to do, when to do, how to, mess with a bull that hangs up. It's fantastic. And if you guys haven't gone through it, y'all are missing out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get that opportunity to get close up and personal, but they want to know how to close the deal, and I think we'll be getting some questions about that.
Yeah, over the week, Joe, I had a guy send me a question, and he was like, Gilbert, I really appreciate what you said. Is that if you get a bull to respond and come into you, it's a win. And I'm like, guys, y'all got to understand that. Yeah, the harvest is the coup de grace, no doubt, but you got to take wins when you get them. And for us, it's about the hunt too, right? So if I get a bull to come in and I get him on a string, and Lady Luck would have it that the winds of the gods that blow the wrong direction and he blows out there, at least I've taken wins away from that because I've had an opportunity. I count all of those opportunities as wins because it's a hard sport that we do. I've said this 1,000 times that we can win and play bad when we play on the playing field, and we can lose and play our best game. We don't have any control of winning and losing, right? But what we do have control of is our attitude and effort that we put into it. So, you guys got to take these wins out when you get a bull to respond and come in, and sometimes it's just not going to work out, but you got to take away from that what you did right.
Yeah.
I agree. I think definitely the painting the picture was awesome. I think just the way that podcast flowed was excellent. It just and people got to understand, we don't really script these, right? Joe, you kind of give us bullet points, we add to them, take away, whatever, and then just kind of put them out there, and then the conversation goes. And I think that one podcast just kind of flowed really well, and it was very structured and super informative. And the other, a lot of people making comments also. We got Mike Wilson and Eric Argon also talking about the mindset, just like Beto is saying. Mike is saying, hey, you don't have your mindset right. Nothing else matters, and there's a ton of truth to that. So yeah. I really enjoy that podcast as well. I think all of them are ultimately necessary. Everything that we have spoken, I think there's so much good content in there, but the mindset also definitely top two for me as well.
Yeah.
And I got a question that was out there that says, and I think you kind of answered it a little bit, that we worked through it. But we had a question that asked, do we let the moon phase dictate when we hunt, or do we just cut right through it? And, the moon is going to dictate your possibilities.
Right. What the animals are going to do.
Yeah. So actually, you always adapt to the situation. And if we have a full moon, and let's say that full moon is rising, it's already rising right when it's getting dark on us, that's a great opportunity to stay out, because bulls are going to start cranking, man. They're going to start bugling as soon as it gets dark under that moonlight, and they'll be cranking most of the night out there. And it's a good way to get out there and just locate them in the dark, mark them on your base map GPS, and then be on them just like a turkey on a roost first thing in the morning, man.
That's right.
And you're on them. Or if it, even if it doesn't, if you have a late rising moon, they're still going to start cranking at night there as soon as it starts to get dark. Chav, you remember there was that one bull that I kept chasing in the bottom area years ago, where you and I near what we used to call the hidden park, and that I would be in there working this area for this bull, guys, all day long. And when would he bugle, Chav? Do you remember?
Well, if it's the one that I'm thinking of, real early or real late.
Exactly. You know, I would be in his bedroom area, man, and this guy would not start bugling until after shooting light. And it drove me nuts, man. But then he was cranking all night long in the full moon. So I was able to try to work him beyond him first thing in the morning, man. Are you guys checking out some of the stuff that's coming across?
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm fighting with Luis. I'm fighting here with Luis. He's TikToking.
See,
You know?
see, this is where our viewers are going to get a complete understanding, man. We have them live so that we can communicate with them. And now Luis and Manano have found a way to argue on the
Yes, and let me tell you,
I don't know who he's arguing against. I'm not even responding. He just wrote one sentence in there.
Well,
And the only
but
time
let
he
me
ever
tell you,
talks in the
really-
podcast is when he's actually wanting to talk about me. He's
hey,
probably, in the
man.
last 3 podcasts, he's probably said 10 words, and they had all been related
Look,
about
Sean
me. So
Dawson
that tells
just
you
put the gauntlet
something.
down, man. Sean Dawson just said he would donate 1 subscription if someone here does not have the base camp first one to mention my name.
Look at that.
That gets the subscription, man.
Wow, how cool
That's
is that?
fantastic, Sean. We appreciate
Cool, Sean. Thank you.
Awesome. That's really cool. Y'all jump on that, man. If you don't have a subscription, you better share.
Oh,
There's Ed
did
Morris.
you
Ed Morris
see?
just got it, man. So
Ed Morris.
Morris just got it.
Earlier said Manano, he was like, he liked all the episodes. He's anxious to see you be able to pronunciate Louisville.
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 Hey, as far as I learned, it was Louisville. So
It's
that's,
Louisville.
you know,
To them
Louisville.
boys out there, yep.
We have Team Rager. Luis, listen to your leader. Thank you, team.
Oh, my. You don't even know who he is?
That's so awesome,
You don't
Sean.
even know who Tim
So Ed
is.
Morris going
You
email
neither, man.
Hey, Tim, go ahead, tell Manano.
Hey, let's not make this the whole friggin' show, y'all.
Hey, that's what the public wants, dude. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, bro. I mean, you brought the Venezuelan Mafia on board for a reason.
Yeah, so,
And now you're gonna have
Joe.
to deal with it, bro. You're gonna have
Gotta
to
reap
step
the
back here for a
whirlwind now,
second
Joe.
and just
Yeah.
deal with this thing for a little
I'm
bit.
learning
So-
my stance
Joe,
on your podcast.
please get back a little bit, Joe. Get back.
No, but seriously, guys,
Let us
any questions? We had, how many episodes were there again, Joe, for the series?
So-
10.
Were 8 episodes, but it was 10 weeks because
10
we
weeks.
doubled on
Yeah.
2 up.
So the whole idea, Joe, is to just any questions you have on all of those episodes, you all have us here live, ready to answer questions and ready to help out and just clarify anything that, that you may have doubts on with regards to the series, correct?
And I want you to think about which of the topics that we covered, guys, were the most difficult for you or are the most difficult for you. And if you have any more questions, like I saw a question from Scott Baker, this is the second one on the moon. It's like, do we get out earlier in a full moon? Heck yeah.
Man,
Absolutely,
dude.
man.
Yeah.
Don't change anything you're doing to worry about the moon other than understand the animals are going to change up a little bit. But you go hunting, get in them woods, brother. It don't matter if the moon's full or not. I'm going to tell you right now, man, Joe and I, we hunt when we can. We don't care about the moon, I mean, obviously we'd like to have the premier days closer to the equinox, yada, yada. But man, I mean, me and this cat been hunting together for 12 years, and it didn't matter if it hair-lipped the damn governor. We were going if it was full moon or not, so, and we've been successful. So I'm going to tell you right now, man, get out in the woods and go elk hunting.
Yeah.
Dang the moon,
But also, it's kind of like when you get snow on the ground, utilize the asset. If you get snow on the ground, we were able to track.
I know exactly
If you have the
what
moon
you
up at night, get out in it because that's when they're going to be the most active. And Eric, Eric Aragon said he'll donate a base camp as well. That's awesome, Eric. Thank you, man.
Oh man, that's so cool, dude. That's what I'm talking about. It's just this kind of network. And look, man, I was thinking about that, Joe. It is so neat to see the group of people, the true grinders, the true followers of the show. It's just quality people, man. Everybody that constantly reaches out and has communication with us. I mean, there's just a list of guys that they're all awesome. I just yet to find a guy that, communicates with us that is, not a guy that I wouldn't invite to a camp. You know what I mean? It's just everybody's excellent people.
At least once.
The other day on a comment, I even got a criticism from one of our listeners that he's like, he really loves our stuff. And he says, but gosh darn, it takes y'all so long to get to your topic because of all this other stuff. Right? And
that's true.
And what was cool was, it wasn't like, you guys suck, man, you need to get to the topic. He was like, I really love your stuff, but gosh darn, man. And we had a conversation about that, a little brief thing. It's like, don't think I'm hating y'all. I'm not. And I was like, no, far from it. Hey, listen, guys, we are here for you. Anytime you have suggestions, wants, needs, let us know. Yeah. And if you don't think we're accessible, talk to some of these cats that are on here right now that we have called, text, emailed personally multiple times. I mean, we try to be very accessible on that.
Yeah, there's no dumb question, just ask. Mm-hmm. And I guess I'll go ahead and get it started from the mailbox. Jason Keith from Montana wants to know, how long should a diaphragm call last? Do you replace them in a few days, once a week, every season? How can you do to help them last? What can you do to them?
What can you do to help them last, right? Yeah.
I use mine seasons. I mean, a couple of years I've had same call,
Keep it dry.
I keep them dry and put up.
So I use a lot of calls, man, and I'm always cranking on them because, and guys, it's really going to depend on your call style. So remember, there's latex on a diaphragm call. If you are putting all kinds of pressure with your tongue and cranking hard on that, and it's a thin latex, you're going to blow it out. And after a while, that cow call is going to sound horrible.
Catcallish.
Yeah, it starts getting horrible. So how long it's going to last is kind of dependent on how you call. Now, I'll tell you this. I carry about 4 or 5 calls with me when I'm out during the day. Yeah. As soon as one starts to get over warm and I can hear a change in the tone, I go to a different one so that I don't blow that one out. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I have game time calls. So like during game time, I only use those during game time. They are proven performers. So I don't blow them all the time. I'll take another one out of the package and I'll get it tuned up to where it's game time ready, right? So I'm not blowing them all the time. I'm using other calls to blow and keep. And I also have different calls like Joe does. One for soft cow calling, and then I might, if I need to scream a big challenge bugle, I might change calls because I like a real higher pitched, harder, raspier tone with that call. Very few times can I imitate exactly what I want out of just one call.
Right. Yeah. I have a thin latex that I really like for cow calling, that if I'm in a situation with a bull coming in, I can still crank out a bugle. Yeah. But that's not what I'm going to use if I'm bugling all day. I'm going to use a little thicker latex and I'm cranking out bugles, but it's not my favorite to cow call. Now, I really like the amp gray because I found that the amp gray is pretty much, you can do both.
Yep, universal.
Manano goes through several diaphragms in a day normally. I've seen that, So I see how that's very important.
The only diaphragm I have is mine, the internal one.
Yeah.
I thought he was going straight to his wife. I'm like, what? Manano.
No, it's still rated on.
But to answer your question on how to help them last, when you come home, see, I use them throughout the season because I guide too. So I'm using them for months, man.
That's right.
And what I do, or even like, when you get home, if you practice with them in your vehicle, don't leave them in your vehicle. Don't leave them in heat. Heat and latex are not friends,
good.
man. So the best thing to do with your calls is to put them in the refrigerator. Keep them nice and cool and keep them dry, just like that. So the cool thing is too, and we have these reed quivers that we put on our hat, and this will be the first year I'm using the reed quiver because I love the idea that I'm actually able to go ahead and stick my diaphragm call right in there so that it is going to get dried out. It's not going to end up in something where it stays all wet. If I want to switch it out and I'm able to grab it, I know where it's at right away if I need to put that in my mouth. Because the other thing I do is I chew on them so much that I squeeze the doggone glue out of them. So,
mine breaks down because it's in my mouth all day,
And I have a tendency to start like biting hard on it for some reason. When I put it on the side, I kind of start biting, and then you
especially
tear them
when
up.
Manano
quick.
pisses you off, man.
Oh, that's
A good solution for that issue is to blend it with a little bit of scotch during
Oh, they getting the
It'll make it last.
They're getting the full Monty tonight. We told y'all in the intro, y'all better buckle up. It's full on tonight, fellas.
That's the truth, man.
One of the things about
does not mix.
One of the things about the holder, Joe, is I had my doubts with it last season, and I was about to buy one, and I was like, I'm not 100% sure. But then when I got there and saw you had one, and then the ones you sent us, it's like, man, these are solid. And because my fear was that the two fingers on top didn't have enough pressure to hold the diaphragm. And I was like, man, I know me, I'm going to be kind of leaning down, move my head or something, and they're going to fall off. Yeah, they don't.
I actually bought a camo hat the other day that's got them right here on the bill. It's like a little net, and you just stick it in that net. It's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Yes,
the turkey hunters have started doing that.
I have just an addition to the question is what would you recommend for a beginner? I tried the Native by Carlton, the red, and that's pretty easy to use. What would you recommend, Joe?
I recommend anything that's narrow and soft. So I think out of the box that some of the two best calls are if you get the All-Star or the Contender from Elk 101, or if you get the Amp Black. It's very, very soft latex. It's perfect for cow calling. You can get some bugle out of that. If you get that Amp Black and that Amp Gray, I think you're really, really set on something like that. And I'm going to come back to this here, but Patrick Drummond, Guy, you asked, you said you missed the dates that we said were the best dates to go for archery. I want all you guys to know, if you go to our website, ElkBros.com, up there on the top menu, there's a thing that says season planning. If you'll click on that, you can see where we have the archery calendar in there. I also have my pack dump in there, and there was one other thing that we have in there right now as well. So you can go check that on the site for that.
Hey, Joe, I got a question here, and John Johnson's is saying, I'm panicking trying to decide what unit to apply, and my hunting partner is making decisions for me, but I'm unsure of the depth of research he has done. What should I do?
You tell him, dude, back off.
Yeah.
If you're going to be partners in this and you're not sure of it, now it depends. Now, if the draw application date is like coming up pronto, he's probably wanting to make sure you get in. If that's not the case, well, you guys need to communicate, man. And I'd find out why he's so set on that, because he might have some information or some knowledge about that area that you don't. If he's your partner, he might have shared that with you. So there could be intricacies there that I don't know, or I don't know if you know. But if I have a buddy that's like, well, we're going to hunt right here and you're paying for where you want to go to, I'd be like, what research have you done? Let's talk about this, man.
Yeah, John, see, I like to be on the other end of that spectrum, right? See, I'm the one that have to do the research and then make decisions for Manano.
And I'm the one that have to support all those things because I'm a victim.
Yeah.
I'm the victim one.
Yeah.
And look, guys, to add what Joe was talking about, the real easy calls right out of the package. I happen to have a Century Black Primos call right here, and Joe knows it. The black is the black and the white are two of my favorite calls. They're very easy to blow right out of the package, guys.
But at the same time, let me make sure, because I did something with Gilbert years ago so that he's able to use that, and I taught him how to tune one of those things.
Yeah, I have to actually trim it because it's big, and I have a smaller pallet, so I have to trim it around the edges. So if it doesn't
fighting down the pallet plate or lifting the pallet plate.
Yeah. But lately the ones I've been pulling right out of the pack, they've been already ready to rock and roll. So I haven't had that issue, but I still have to trim around the black part because I have a smaller pallet. So you guys, if it doesn't fit your pallet, it feels real big, just take your scissors out or your snips or whatever, and just trim around the edge. Go small, 1/8 inch at a time until it gets to where it fits real good. But I'm telling you, the sweet little sounds it makes is phenomenal.
One thing, Joe, that they're asking here, and I'm gonna have to put my pride aside, is they're asking who is the best caller out of us all five. And I'm gonna have to say definitely Manano. It's the best color we have out here.
Joe
in the group.
Gillia. Hands down, every day, twice on Sunday. Joe's much better at calling. For sure.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
He's the best I've ever been around. And I've been around a bunch of guys that can blow a reed, but
I've never
speaks the language.
I've never seen anybody pull bulls and just. It's like having a remote control in his hand. He steers them left and right.
I can tell you this, I get better when I'm around him. So if Joe and I set up on a scenario,
it's going to be a show.
It's going to be a show.
And what about Chav? I have seen Chav pulling all those elk too.
Absolutely.
He's a silverback. He's the real one.
The silverback.
So you all guys are watching live.
Shane says he struggled with the Rocky Mountain calls and that Phelps have always worked, and he says he used Primos years before. Primos was pretty much the one that you could find years before, man. They kind of set the tone, and they started with the pallet plate before other people really started working it. Even though Rocky Jacobson came up with the pallet plate, Primos was the one that kind of got known for that. But and you're right. If you get there is a 3-pack that you can get both on. There's even a series, it's called a Pitch Black series, that you can get from Phelps that has a 1, 2, and 3 that are different latex. That I like the Amp series. It's like it's this bright yellow like that, and this is a 1 right here. So there's 3 of them that are like that, and then there are the 3 that you can get from Rocky Mountain elk calls as well. I think a lot of it, guys, man, is once you learn to start handling latex, I think you can just put about any call in and make it work for you. You're not going to always get the same exact tone because it depends on the latex that you have there. Okay. The kind you have to tune, is the so let me think here. I just lost my train of thought. Oh, you got to tune the ones that we had before were the Primos. And what happens with the Primos is the metal pallet plate is kind of a square plate that attaches. And if you want to make it so that it's easier, if you bite down on it, if you bite that pallet plate down so it's closer to the latex, it's easier to get a cow sound. I usually take my teeth in between and kind of wedge and make it a wider gap, and then it makes it a little bit easier to do bugles with like that.
But they've gotten better, man. They've gotten better, and the tone's a lot better on them. I don't have to do that anymore. The last 5 or 6 calls I've bought from the Century, it's not, you haven't had to bite down on them, Right. So it's been really good. Like I said, when I'm pulling right out of the package and really get it to whine, I really like that. But look, every one of these calls that Joe's talked about, from Amp, from Phelps, from all of them take some, getting used to how to blow them. You guys got to spend time with them, break the latex in, blow some real hard bugles out of them.
And that's a great point, Gilbert, because some of them that you might not like at first,
yeah.
After you scream some bugles on it for a while, it'll start to break that latex in.
Yeah.
And it could be, the Maverick was like that for me.
Yeah.
And the Maverick just seemed really harsh. And so I just started going to town on it. Yeah. And man, all of a sudden it starts sweetening up. The other thing is I think after you work a certain latex for a certain amount of time, you start to get a feel for the latex and you start to know how to handle that pressure for that particular latex. Yeah. But I'm going to tell everybody, volume over pressure. And in other words, if I have a call in my mouth, you hear how tight that latex is right now, dry just coming off. But if I was to go, now watch when I just
sound like Luis when he started.
Now, this might
probably still do sound like that every once in a while, bro.
Not, dude.
So this might blow out, and you might not hear the high note on this. So let me see if I can get this away a little bit. If I just give more volume, I'm just pushing on the diaphragm, man.
Yeah.
Just pushing on that. Did it blow out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just a little.
Yeah. So sorry about that, y'all. I don't have the mic set up, and we're on YouTube, so I'm not able to get to it.
So Joe, while we're on the topic of calling, our friend Derek Baker is asking, hey, do you have any tips on how to call elk over a ridge? I seem to always see elk when cresting a ridge with them about 200, 300 yards away.
Yeah.
So that means you're on top of the ridge and you're seeing them down on the other side,
right,
about 200, 300 yards away. So Derek, the best thing to do for that is to go down and get on their level. First of all, if you see them 200, 300 yards away, you can bring them up. I've done that, and I've done it with scenarios. So what I do is I do that scenario of me being a bull with cows or a herd that's on the move, and that bull is just doing that location bugling where he's just telling the ladies, here I am. Or I'll start to go into where I start to use some of those rutting sounds that I'm going to use with them, but I will move. I'll start on that side of the ridge, and I'll move actually away from the bull on the other side like I'm going over, and I'll kind of hang on the side, maybe come back a little bit with some lost cow calls, and then start moving back again, so that I give the illusion of something that's on their side but going the other direction to try to pull them my way. That's exactly what I did with Luis and Manano when Luis got his bull the 1 year. I mean, I just kept pulling myself further and further away to sound naturally like an animal.
That was a 45-minute process of... I mean, I would have been seeing yellow little stars here after, trying to freaking call for 45 minutes. We were both like, man, Joe's got to be winded out by now. We better tell him that they're gone. And just when we said that, they all turned around and started coming our way, and we're like, holy crap, here they come. So
I've witnessed him call them
incredible.
A half mile, 3/4 of a mile off over a barrier, around the woods, past the manure pile, across the creek, through a wallow, and straight up a mountain. I'm serious, 3/4 of a mile away, we heard bull bugle, and like a string, here he comes, because this guy can call. He can make a bull mate a black stump. I am not kidding. I mean, the guy, and I'm saying that lightly. If Paul Damage was here, he would say it differently. But at the end of the day, Joe Gillia can turn elk from ridge to ridge. But it takes a tremendous amount of understanding of what that bull is telling you. And look, when he did it for me, that bull would answer back, and then he'd be closer. And we're like, okay. And then finally he'd shut up and act like he wouldn't talk at all until I seen him walking a waller way down below us on the mountain. Yeah. And Joe actually called him back in. I mean, look, these guys are You guys are the best in the world. And I saw a question here, Joe. Guys are asking, hey, man, did Gilbert go skiing or what? Because he's got the raccoon eyes. Fellas, this is what it looks like down here in the spring in the south when you're on the front end of that skeeter. We're working on them green trout down here. Before I was an elk hunter, I've been a bass fisherman all my life. So my son fishes in a club here at the Klein Oak fishing team.
Heck of a fisher.
And he's a really good fisherman. So we fish tournaments together, and he's working on becoming his own little pro. And he's a really good fisherman. So we spend some time on the water. I fished a oil field event this weekend called the Texas Oilman's Bass Invitational. We raise money every year for the Texas Children's Hospital here in Houston, Texas. So that's why you see we wear very good sunglasses. Costa Del Mar's, no plug for Costa. They don't sponsor us or anything. But at the end of the day, that's what we wear, 580G lenses, and no sunlight gets through. We wear sunscreen on our faces because we don't want melanoma. And at the end of the day, this is the lenses are what keep the sunlight off our face.
Hey, a quick shout out here from the guys to Mr. Chav. Tim is saying, hey, first I got to say it's so cool to follow Chav's recovery. Thank you, Chav, for being so open. Keep her going, man. And then, Mr. Mike Wilson also saying, team so agree, Chav is such an inspiration. I think we all agree with that. And we're so happy to have you here with us today, Chav, in such good conditions in full recovery mode and, aiming for the screaming this year.
Oh, yeah.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I think I'm probably at 85% now.
Wow.
Still trying to get more feeling in my knees and ankles. I'm sure I could hunt from a ground blind or a tree stand right now. But, for we walk, it's pretty rugged and, still got to get that balance a little bit better. But I am getting stronger by the day.
Yeah. And
awesome, Chav.
hey, if you guys could see what he does every day, man, none of us would ever complain about trying to get in shape for anything and just trying to get back to where he was. So
he's our hero.
Look, and that guy can walk you into the ground, brother.
Yeah, I put in about 6 hours a day, when I break it up, when I add it all up together, but nothing else to do except watch Netflix. So
the only thing is my daughter was one of his athletes who he used to kill in track and field. And she's like, so get with it, Uncle.
No mercy.
Pity for him after the workouts that he put her through, man.
Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to beat his daughter. See who walks first.
That's cool, man.
Normally.
Yeah, the granddaughters. And yes, you're right. I saw Derek. It definitely is ignoring, man, and it's not always a party because when I think of an elk party, that's when we do kind of multiple bulls coming in that are signifying a hot cow. We're playing parts. But when I'm doing it on my own, I will make a lot of low guttural bull noises and more cow calls than I do. So I'll do a lot of glunking. I'll do a lot of panting, moans, groans, some partials, those types of things. So when if you start hearing
I got virulacus.
Yeah, it's one of those things that those kinds of noises, and if I do that alone, other bulls hear that, and you mix that with the cow calls and some lost cow calls, and man, the lost cow calls almost sound like annoying because it's just wee, wee, wee. It almost sounds a lot like a dying rabbit to me in some ways when you do that. But that bull that Gilbert's talking about was 3/4 a mile away, came to us over a fence, up a hill before he killed him, man. So it can be done, man.
Yeah, we had a stare off with him for, Joe, 7 minutes?
Yeah, I think I did the time on it by the time from when he topped out the crest. And that's another thing, too. Not only that.
Patience.
But Derek, if you do have a bull coming up, you've got to make sure that you are within your comfortable shooting range of where he's going to top out to look. You guys got to think about bull elk coming through doors, okay? They are going to what I call a stop and scan position. In other words, if I've got a bull coming and I can see him coming from 100 yards away, and here I am in the brush and I'm calling where he can pin me because it's pretty open from 100 yards.
He's not going to move forward. He's going to hang up.
He's gonna wait
gonna
to see
stop
where
and
you're
scan,
at.
man, because they want to visually see you, man. So
That's why you got to call behind you. You got to throw that call behind you.
Or get in a tight situation where you're back behind and you've got shooting lanes, or you want to use terrain so that you are like, let's say that I'm on top of that ridge, Daryl, and Derek, I'm sorry, it was Derek that asked that question.
Yeah.
And I'm on top of that ridge. If I get on the other side of that ridge where I'm 80 yards away and he comes and tops out, I've already messed myself up because he's going to stop and scan. He should be able to see that cow up on top there. But if I'm all the way up there 30 yards to where he's going to top out, like we were with Gilbert, that bull stopped. And here's the other thing, was looking straight at us frontal. And it wasn't a shot that Gilbert wanted to take, which is totally great with me too. So he's frontal, but believe it or not, that's a dead bull already. Why is it a dead bull?
But because of their flaw.
He's got to turn sideways to move.
Yes, he got to turn to go away.
Got
to
to
turn to go away. And when he turned, all I had to do was scream a bugle.
Stop him.
Locks him in. He turns his head. He doesn't turn his body. He turns his head. He's broadside. He went down in less than 10 seconds. Gilbert just right past
Poleaxed him, man. I mean, look, when the bull actually, when he stopped, I had to step out from the aspen that was to my right. I had to actually make a move and step out, and he had no clue that I'd moved. You know, he heard that big bugle. Joe was standing right beside me, and so was Chav right on my 6. And I had to actually move out, kind of adjust my anchor point. But when I moved out, man, the old red cherry got right in the middle of where it needed to be, and we sent it. And when we sent it, bud, it was a case Syrah. That bull was, I mean, it was like somebody hit him in the head with a bass fiddle. It was bad news for that son of a gun.
Hey, Kenneth Sutton asked, so is it quality? Is it calling quality or understanding what to call to use at that time that is more important? And
100% knowing what to do.
When it comes to cow calls, I would say the quality is more important than the bull calls. There's so much you can get away with on the bull calls, man. And it is what to give them. And when we use our scenario techniques, when we are ignoring the bull, when we are not targeting or calling right at that bull and responding to his calls until he escalates to a certain point. When we do that, we're using a technique that these bulls hardly ever see. You know, look, you guys go out there and you give you guys give that and you give an answer, man, right away, you're going right back at that son of a gun. So now you are engaging him. You're engaging him. Now, if he is rocking with it, that's all good. It's going to be a happy ending. But if you do that and all of a sudden he shuts up, now you got a problem on your hands because you got a different kind of bull, right? He's kind of timid. He's not really, because you just went right back at him. So what you do now is you do not target that animal. Yeah, you start with it. Be a lover before a fighter. Always, man. Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I have to read this. Mr. DY Outdoors. Manano is definitely the leader. He sends Luis out to go hunting just like a leader to send his troops. So I gotta say, Luis.
Did you read what he wrote next, and then what I wrote down below? He said
no, I don't.
He said JK, Luis, and I said, please explain to Manano what JK is. He doesn't know what that means.
And that's true. I don't know that what.
I just said it.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
That's Joe knows, and I do.
Joe knows.
Joe knows.
Take that, Luis. I don't want to say more, but hey, people is asking for some bear story for Beto.
Hey Joe, before we go there, Joe, what's that you're waving around with so much pride, man. And just like what's that you got in your hands, man? You like just to show off like that?
Tee it up, Joe.
Yeah, he got all red. Look at Joe. He got red.
What you got there, man? Come on.
So guys,
We know what that is.
if you're ready for this,
oh no, here we go.
I don't know if I can tell this. It's been kind of top secret.
Oh, man.
But everybody knows that I've always told you that we need a flexible tube when you're out for a solo hunter. I like it. I'm a guide for doubles. I can do everything on this. So I like that. The problem is, if you guys been looking for these, they've stopped manufacturing. We're getting ready to run out. So instead of crying about it, I started actually creating my own grunt tube, and this is the prototype. And this prototype is one that has a whole different type of mouth piece on one end and a different type of chamber on the end here, so that it kind of holds the tone inside. But what I like about the mouthpiece is so fitted, and then on the inside I have baffles that kind of close it down on the inside. Still messing with the prototype on how tight I want those baffles, but so that it actually gives me more back pressure when I blow. The one thing about the older grunt tube here is, because of its size, when you go into it, man, you can let some air out pretty doggone quick. And this one is so comfortable, this mouthpiece, it makes it so much easier to have this to do some of the lip balls and things like that inside. It's just real comfortable on the inside. So
are you talking about different sizes there, Joe, as well, potentially?
Yes, we can actually get so that we can make this mouthpiece different sizes for different guys. So that's going to be one of the goals.
How about the length of the tube?
I'm actually thinking about making this tube about 2 inches longer, but this is the exact same size of the one I currently run, and it's right in where I want it to be.
Yeah.
Right here. So.
Yeah, perfect. It throws it right back there.
So I'm able to do what I want to. So it's you're seeing it for the first time right here, and
so cool. I put it out there. It's gonna be badass. Y'all just get ready. It's gonna be really cool. We got some guys here in our mailbox. Austin Dyke from Northeast Oregon. This will be my third season archery elk hunting, and my question is, what is the best thing to do when you're in the elk and everything is going great, but then you get busted? I've tried everything I can think of, and it seems to always get busted when I'm about to finally get my chance to punch my first archery tag. I'm concealed with my surroundings and and don't smell like anything but the woods. My hunting clothes I wear stay in a scent eliminating bag all year until it's time to hunt. Then I spray them with stuff that I get from the woods, and I hunt I hunt in after mixing it well with water and get a good natural scent to spray on my clothes. Look, man, I don't care what you do, Brother Austin. I don't care what you bathe in. I don't care what you roll in. Those elk smell in parts per billion. They don't smell in parts per tens like we do, us flatlanders walking around on our feet. They can smell your DNA, my brother. So when the gift from the wind gods get torn up on you and it hits you in the back of the neck, that's just, it ain't his day to die. I can tell you that straight up, man. Look, you can do everything that you can do to be scent free.
Yeah, and it helps.
It does help.
Every little helps.
It prolongs them probably picking up on it. But initially, when that wind turns and hits you in the back, it's going to hit them in the face like a shitty mop. And I mean, it will flat make them want to run for the hills. Ain't nothing you can do about that when the wind fails you, brother. Only thing you can do is try to keep yourself working to keep the wind in your favor. And maybe that means that you got to make a move while the bull's coming in to get out of that wind flow, right, Joe? I mean, you're seeing it, and you just got to. I can tell you, man, Joe and I've been on hunts together, days and days and days, that we've had bulls coming to us, and then just by the luck of the wind gods, that they don't want that elk to die that day, they get a little gust from us, and
look, it's as simple as you take all the measures, which is good, right? I mean, I even got me a little ozone little generator, and after our trip with Mr. Paul Snort, you know, I saw he had a deal like that, so I kind of went and did a poor boy version of it and put my cloth in it. And it works great because it impregnates the cloth with that ozone smell, and it really does help. I can tell that, you know, firsthand. I tried it and it helps a ton. But here's the thing, man. Like Beto says, they're still going to smell you at some point. And look, as simple as before you get heading out of camp, you brush your teeth. Now you get that mint odor in your mouth, and they're gonna pick up on that. As simple as middle of the day, you sit down and you grab a chocolate, something to eat. It's going to be in your fingers now. It's going to be in your mouth.
Peanut butter is the worst. Peanut butter is the worst, man.
Yeah, man.
Chocolate, peanut butter, all that stuff. I mean, you're gonna have that smell on you.
Yeah, elk don't smell peanut butter. Elk don't smell chocolate, and to them, it's just all
different
super unnatural.
Smell.
Yeah,
it's a different smell.
But I want to, you know, because a lot of people will go, well, why do I even worry about my scent then?
Oh no, it helps.
And one thing I got to tell you is it can mean the difference between getting a shot that's 50 yards, maybe that you're not comfortable with, to a 40-yard shot.
Yep.
Because I've always compared this to a gunshot. You know, when you hear a gunshot far away, you're not that worried about it. But if you hear a gunshot right on top of you, it scares the crap out of you. And elk are not scared of human scent. They're just scared of scent being where they didn't expect it. So if they're used to smelling humans. So if they smell a scent of you that smells far away, it's not as alarming as if they catch a full nose of you, or if you're just reeking like a son of a gun out there. So I truly believe the more you can mitigate sound, smell, is going to be things that are going to help you, you know, in the process. You don't want your bow creaking when you pull back. One of the things I don't like is on my pack. I do not like my pack and my shoulder area to start when I draw back, because, man, if you're on a cold morning, and generally in the morning it's real cold, sound carries so far, man. It does. And if I'm doing that and you hear that nylon noise as you're drawing back.
Or Manano's pants made out of shower curtain.
I saw it coming.
You saw it coming.
It's true.
I'll never forget one time Manano hunted with me in a ground blind, a deer blind, and he went to draw back, and I went, "Whoa, dude, what is that, man?" I said, "That dadgum shower curtain you're wearing is not going to work." It was like deathly still where we were hunting, not a breath of wind. And he's like, "Oh no, Beto, it's good. It's going to be just fine." Man, them deer came in just like I told him they would, and he went to draw. He didn't even get halfway back, and they scattered like a covey of quail. They were like, "What in the world was that?" And he looked at me. I said, "I told you that shower curtain's got to go, homie. It's got to go." They can hear that so easy. You know.
Hey, Eric Aragon, you said that I needed to give this bad boy a name. Try this one out for size. This is going to be called the ElkBros Soloist.
The Soloist. I like it, Joe. I told you.
Yeah.
So Manano, so you remember how to pronounce it? Just think of Luis.
Soloist. Soloist.
There you go.
And Charlie, I hope you told your son hello for us, man. He's way more important than we are. Trust me on that. Elk hunting is expensive. Who knew? But, you know, that doesn't have to be the case, Ed. Honest to gosh, I mean, you can look at Chav and myself, and between the two of us, man, I mean, our bows were bows that we had for years. We ate peanut butter and jelly and bologna and cheese while we were out there. We hunted in tennis shoes. We bought double X75s that we could get for, at that time, it was like $30-40 a dozen. We were getting our broadheads for 6 for about $25, you know, and everybody's like, well, you know, is that kind of gear going to work? Shoot. Look, it's just like this. Larry Bird, ugliest shot in basketball, but he knew where it was going to go every time, and he scored with it.
Money.
So if you can get a sharp point on the end of a stick and you get a critter 20 to 30 yards, I don't care what you're shooting, what's on the tip of it, or what's pushing it. If you got some power behind that and you're going to place it where it needs to be and up that leg, mid-body, 3 inches back, it's going from one side to the other, and I don't care if it's a mouse or an elephant. You take out those lungs, that critter's going down. So I think hunting is expensive as you want it to be, really. And it's always nice to have the latest and greatest, man. I mean, I have a bow that I got gifted that there's no way I could have ever bought that, man. And so I'm having to do some things to honor that. But I've had my other bow for 15 years, man. Chav has a new bow because that drug pusher up there in the corner, man, that guy with the heart the size of Texas, he wanted to make some changes there.
Look, man, my guy has hunted with me for a long time. The ninja Leroy Chavez, man, and man, we had a scenario. I killed the biggest bull of my life. Okay, and called him in, and I actually called 3 more bulls in. I actually called 6 more bulls in that day, but I called 2 more back for Chav, and man, he just had a heck of a time with his bow. Shit flew off of it like a $3 watch, and things weren't working out so good, and he missed a couple times. There were key things, and some things broke on it when he got it drawn back. And like I said, I was like, that ain't ever going to happen again as long as I'm around. I can tell you that straight up. I went home. I called Joe. I said, Joe, you think he'd shoot a bow if I get it for him? Joe goes, what? Oh my God, yeah, he'd shoot a bow. I said, I'm gonna get him one. I said, and that's exactly what I did. He shoots the same bow I shoot, and we're gonna put one down with it. That's for sure this year. So I'm excited, Chav.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, Joe Grossetti says, you guys sit in front of a campfire. Does it help mask your scent the next day? Let me tell you something here, Joe. Okay, don't start none, won't be none.
He ain't helping our case for the next campfire next year, man.
So look, from here forward, I'm just going to say, I'm going out on a limb. We're going to have us a campfire if it warrants it, if it's cold enough, because it really didn't matter. We do a really good job of understanding our wind, Joe. And if you understand that elk they use their nose for everything, it just doesn't matter what you're going to smell like, man. We know that if we get the wind in the right direction, which is in our face, or a side wind, we're going to have an opportunity to close the deal on some elk. And it was never more prevalent than this year. We got 6 inches of snow up on the mountain on September the 9th, and Joe goes, my God, we're going to have a fire because we're going to need it. And if we wouldn't have had a fire, we'd have froze to death, I mean, it was cold. When you got your tent collapsing because of snow falling in on you, it's pretty cold. And Chav would have froze to death that last night if we couldn't have had him around a campfire.
Even with a campfire, like if you position it correctly, to where you're not getting that smoke all into your stuff, right? And then, look, after the campfire at night, you're ready to go to bed. If you're diligent about putting your clothes away and stuff like that, and then getting clean clothes for the next day, that's all good. The problem is if we tried to avoid the direction of the smoke.
Yeah,
but the problem is that smoke is going to get in your hair, your beard, and your skin. And look, yes, it's going to smell. But normally we don't do a campfire on elk camp, and it was just this one year that the weather demanded it.
Yeah. Well, and it didn't hamper us from killing.
And yet we kill an elk, elk that particular day.
Yeah, and then
so
also,
Joe, we can implement it, Joe.
We do, and we always do a campfire the last night, the last dinner. It's kind of some sort of a tradition where we do the picanha and
the picanha.
Whoa.
Yeah. And that's
is it good, Beto?
What? It's so good, make your tongue slap the back of your neck. I promise you.
Steak night.
Hell to the yes.
Grinders tuning in, thank you for listening to the Blue Collar Elk Hunting Podcast. Our goal is to share our knowledge and help you flatten that learning curve so that you too can have some of the very same incredible experiences that have given all of us here at ElkBros a lifetime of memories. If you like what you hear or see, you can get all of this information plus so much more from our Base Camp Elk Hunting Training Camp, the first in a series of online courses from our Blue Collar Elk Academy. Our Base Camp Training Camp allows me to use my coaching style and share almost 40 years of elk hunting experiences successfully hunting elk on public lands, as well as over 20 years guiding hunters of all ages and experience levels. This course will be like nothing you have ever experienced in concept and structure, using success-based coaching techniques that will elevate your confidence and skill sets. Our camp will prepare you specifically from that final moment most in your control, those final minutes or seconds the elk is in front of you, backwards through each step and level, allowing you to see, visualize, understand, and relate every coaching point to what lies ahead, the next step, the next thought process, the next success. Because y'all, you've already been there. You know what it looks like. By tapping my 30 years of teaching and coaching experience, our camps are developed considering multiple learning modes with text, visuals, audio, as well as video. And Base Camp will benefit those new to elk hunting all the way to the 10 to 15 year vet. So if you are looking for that one thing to help you fill that tag this year, invest in the most important piece of equipment there is, you and your elk hunting knowledge. You can find the Blue Collar Elk Hunting Academy and the Base Camp Training Camp at ElkBros.com. That's ElkBros.com. Keep dreaming of the screaming, believing in achieving, and most of all, keep grinding. One thing I want you guys that are listening to think about and start giving us here, and before we go to one of the things that we're going to talk about is, what is the one area, need, or skill set of hunting that most concerns you, that you have questions on as far as that goes? I've had a lot of people that have asked questions that I never even think of. And some of you guys, in fact, a lot of you guys from Oregon, you're in a totally different situation because you're in the jungle compared to where I'm at out here too. And people will ask me like questions about other states. And remember, I have never hunted out in New Mexico. Like when you were talking about how expensive things are, we've always, Chav and I have hunted in New Mexico. We've hunted within 3 hours of where we're at pretty much, except for one time we got home pretty late, about 1 a.m. when we killed a bull right before dark. Our wives think that we do this on purpose, man, that we kill elk at the last day, but no, I mean, it can be different for different situations. So if you have a question, I do believe elk are elk, but I know in talking to buddies about the Rosies over there, and I've got some great people that I think the world of that I talk to about this. And, those animals do not travel as far because of how thick it is. They're a lot like the Rocky Mountain elk in Kentucky. They don't booger out of the country because it's so thick in there. And they're not as vocal, and they're a little bit more territorial. And so there's some differences as far as that goes. And it's just the time of year that you guys hunt over there. And a lot of times your weather conditions are just atrocious, man. I guess it rains sideways in Oregon from what I understand, man. It's like it comes up at you, but yeah. So think about that and ask some questions, and we'll gladly get to those. And while we're waiting for those to come in, Richard Strait couldn't be here tonight. I don't think Richard's here, but he sent in an email to me, and he said that a good friend invited him to join in on a Wyoming cow elk hunting group. Said that they will be rifle hunting around September 10th in a herd reduction area, and the hunts are on private land. Do you have any tips on cow elk hunting in the early rut? I'll let some of you guys take that first.
Well, let's give a bugle
Husking the
It's in
bull.
the rut. The bulls are around the cows, so that's actually the best time. If they're in the rut, yeah, definitely.
As a matter of fact, Chav, to your point, I guess from what I have heard from you guys is that I've never been in the rut, but what I hear, if you want to actually hunt bull, it's harder to hunt them in the rut because they're surrounded by cows. So the cows usually, it's easier to get to the cows than to get to the bull. But in order to locate the cows, you locate the bulls. Am I completely out of?
No, look, we tell everybody if you're not hunting cows, you should be, right?
Exactly.
If your target animal's a bull and you want to get a bull, you should be hunting the cows because that's where the bulls are going to be.
Right.
So, and then people ask me like the other way. So, what do you do with that? Well, look, there's three things that that you're going to pull a cow in with. You're going to either get them with their herd mode, you're going to get them with their maternal mode, or you're going to get them with the breed mode. Those are the three things. They're herd animals. So just herd talk as you're moving, a lot of times will bring cows into you.
Oh, yeah.
The maternal, where you do the lost calf and a lost cow, or you do some of that insistent cow that's looking and then doing the lost calf calls for that.
Yes.
A lot of times that maternal instinct will bring a cow into you. And then the other one is the breeding. Cows want to breed with the biggest, baddest bull there is. They want a good, strong, mature bull to sire their child so that it can live and survive through the winter, give them a stronger calf. So by sounding like a big bull, that's a lot of times a tactic we use to get a bull with cows is we will pull the cows to us sounding like the bull. We're not targeting the bull. We're trying to pull the cows to us. And we can, if you've never seen a convergence before where bulls, it'll be like three bulls with their own groups of cows and they all end up in the same area. And it's for that reason, man. They're cranking off that they've got a hot cow and they're bugling, and those cows are hearing those other bulls and they're going to that. So that's three of the things that I think you could use. But yeah, find the bulls, man. That's where the cows are. Yeah. Absolutely. I saw a question though that I thought was a real.
I did too, Joe, and I'm trying to find. I think, what do you do if your area doesn't have a lot of meadows?
Yeah.
What to look for? Plenty of water and cover in the unit, but not a lot of meadows.
So think about this. Is what is it that a meadow is providing? It's open, it gets sunlight, so therefore it produces more grass. These are grazers. So if you have an area that doesn't have a lot of meadows, then you want to find any place there's disruption in the canopy. So if there's an area that is thin, like aspens a lot of time, will let a lot of light through and have some grass underneath. So if you have an area where the trees are spread, if it's lower brush and it's put out, oak brush type areas. Yeah. If there's timber cut, if there's a fire area, if there's been a rock slide of some kind, any place where the canopy gets broken, because you can go in those north side bedding areas, those northeast side bedding areas, or those steep areas where they bed and there's thick trees. You can go in there. It's so dark, but look at the ground. It's like dirt because there's really no sunlight getting in there to grow that grass. It stays nice and cool and it stays shaded, but that's a bedding area. It's not a feed area. So I hope that helps you out.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Very good question. I got one here from Mike Wilson. Said, just starting out, I know I need more skill/confidence in my shooting, but I know thanks to you guys what I need to do. So I am practicing more. Mike, just keep doing what you're doing, brother. Keep stepping your distance out. Get comfortable from 0 to 20 and then from 20 to 30. But don't break off more than you can chew. Once you start tightening those groups up where you're chinking some arrows, then start placing little dots on your target where you're shooting one arrow at a time at those dots. Move out to 30, same thing. Once you get really proficient at that, getting close to that dot within a 3-inch circle of that dot, and then move out to 40, man. And then before you know it, just keep stepping it out. 45, 50, 55, 60. If you got the room, 70, 75. You know, I mean,
And I'm going to tell you something too, adding to Gilbert there, is if you are proficient at 30 and you're hitting okay, I want you to go back to 60. And I want you to shoot from 60. And yeah, you're going to be a little bit all over. I want you to focus, shoot at 60, shoot at 60. Then I want you to go up and shoot that 30 again and watch what happens.
Lock you in, brother.
I'm telling you, man, because you learn, when you get back, you learn to see smaller and you learn to aim smaller. And I tell people, you don't practice at 60 so that you can shoot great at 60. You practice at 60 so you can shoot great at 40 and 30 and 20, man. It just really focuses and locks you in.
Yeah, I tell everybody this all the time. These boys know that I shoot at extreme distances. And it's not so I can. If I need to, that's great. But it's not so that I can or kill a bull out to 120 yards or whatever it may be. It's for me to not even hesitate on that 35 or 40 yard shot. I mean, seriously, if a bull gets in within 35, 40 yards of me, he's in serious trouble. If I can get that bow pulled back, I'm telling you, he's in bad shape, because we're going to get it within like that. And in a place I want to shoot him, it's que sera, it's over. So, again, you guys keep shooting. Keep pushing yourselves out there. Keep sending them down range, long range. Yeah, you're going to booger a few arrows or lose them, buy you a little metal detector or whatever, you know. But it is worth it. And put the time on the range in. Guys, I've been bow hunting since I'm 13 years old. I'm 52 or 51, fixing to be 52 in September. Man, I'm telling you, there's nothing like practice, right? And I've practiced a long time. Do I shoot a lot? Guys asked a question today. Do I shoot a lot? No, I don't. I shoot a couple of times a week, more when I'm getting approached by hunting. But I don't shoot a whole lot. I don't have to. Been doing it a long time. You guys that are just getting into this, y'all got to put your time in.
And the reason I was going off with those sounds there, Jason Schultz asked about a lost cow. And if you've heard a lost calf, and it's just a high pitched, it's just higher pitched than that lost cow sound, you know, where that. You get that lost cow, and then so you get that higher pitch for the lost calf, man. And so that's what you want to do that. And you can get that just by kind of closing your mouth a little bit more, and it gets a little bit higher pitched on that. Did that blow out too, guys?
No, it wasn't bad at all. Really good sounding.
So there was one that I wanted to also hit up here, though.
Was it the one about do bulls usually use the same areas when they're scraping off their velvet, and would those be good areas to target come September?
No, they're not. Oh, well, wait a second. Yes, they do use the same areas. No, it's not the area to target in September, unless you're getting there like September 1st.
Early. Yeah.
Or in that August, because those bulls are now moving from that area to their staging area, their rut staging area. So they're starting to move from where they have been and moving to where the cows are. So now you start finding rut areas where around clearings, small clearings where trees are blown up, down inside there where there's like feed areas, and up on the sides of those, or in corridors going from a feed area to a bed area. That is rut activity that you do want to target, because bulls do like to rut their cows in the same areas year after year. And I don't think it's so much that the bulls want to rut their cows there. I think the cows who are leading this whole thing are really in the areas they like to feed in. So the bulls know where they're at and pretty much work that in the same area. The one that I thought was John Johnson here. And John, I hope you're still here. It's one of his concerns is the unknown of big country and finding elk. And guy, that's the whole battle, man. I mean, finding elk, in order to kill elk, you got to find an elk, right? You know?
That's right, 100%.
But it's just like this. It's like we said in one of our podcasts, how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time, baby.
One bite at a time, man. You can't look at the whole critter and try to swallow the whole thing. It's just way too much. So what you have to do is, when you are in big country, is you can eliminate some of that country. And so what you want to do is you want to take a look and mark certain things and look for the big four that are going to happen in there. You got to have the bedding, you got to have the feed, you got to have the water, right? You have to have those things that are happening inside there. When you look at that and you start to get an idea where those corridors are and where the bedding areas are, where the feed areas are, and you start to say, okay, all of those are within a certain amount of distance from each other, whether it's a mile or 2 miles, man, inside there. But a lot of times it's a mile. I mean, it's funny how that works. And they can travel from 2 miles to get water anywhere.
Oh, man, in a minute, man. Yeah. I mean, it don't take them, 12 minutes to go 2 miles. They are unbelievable athletes, and they have no problem going that distance.
I know of a herd that travels 6 miles every morning, every evening to get back and forth from water.
There you go. I mean, it's no step for them. That's part of their daily regimen. Just like you and I go out and walk 3 miles a day, they do it too. So, I mean, it is what it is. Scott Baker says, I know Gilbert can drop guided missiles from 80 yards on a dime, but what's the furthest would you say you should be proficient? For me, guys, in my practice, it's 70 yards. That's where I want to be proficient out to. But I got to tell you.
For elk.
Yeah, for elk. I got to tell you, everything's got to line up, fellas. I mean, I got to have good wind. I can't have a 30-mile-an-hour crosswind. I got to have a bull that's not alert, right? Because they will pivot on you if they are alert and looking at you. I need some really good things to happen at 60 to 70 yards, right? For me to
you need a good cameraman in your back too.
For sure. I mean, this year Joe called a bull on a string from a bottom down to me, and I actually had to shoot down. I knew that I could shoot that bull with one less pin because I was shooting straight down at him, and he was 57 yards. That's a walk in the park for me, and when that bull finally stopped, I couldn't believe he stopped in the window that I needed him to stop in, and we sent it, man, and it was over with. But guys, set yourself a limit. You guys know what you're proficient at. I mean, if you guys can't put an arrow in a 5-inch circle, then until you can, don't shoot that distance, start trying to get proficient at 30 and 40 yards where you can get your groups like that. And then, like Joe said, practice out to 6. Doesn't mean you got to take a 60 or 70 yard shot until you're proficient with that. But if you're hunting out west, you're going to have some opportunities at elk out to 60, 70 yards. And that was the next question Mr. Schultz said. He said, if I could shoot like Big O, I could have laid down a bull last year, but 65 to 70 was too far from my comfort. Fantastic, yeah. Jason. I mean, look, you knew exactly what you knew your comfort was, and you didn't take an errant shot and wound an animal and have to go through all of that we've been through together. As man, I rushed it, or I took a bad shot. I knew I shouldn't have done that. So, Jason Schultz, that's part of being an ethical hunter, brother. And until you get proficient at 65 or 70, don't take that. Just because the Elk Bros can do it, Michael Waddell and, all these cats that can really shoot out proficiently past 60, 70 yards, 100 yards, I mean, it doesn't mean that you should do that, right? What we're telling you is, with practice and everything that you do, you can get better at it. And if you feel like next time you need to be more proficient at 65 or 70, well, brother, get your practice on and get out there and make it happen. You guys can do it. I promise you. You just gotta go ahead and allocate the time to put in and the resources, because you're going to go through a few resources when you start shooting at that distance. Get you a big target. You know, I mean, Brendan this year in camp, I mean, we're shooting a little bitty block target. I mean, it ain't big at all, about as big as the screen on my computer here, and we're shooting at it at 100 yards. And he's like, "You guys are nuts, man. Y'all are crazy." And I'm like, "Man, dude, this is how you get better at that 30 and 40 yard shot, you know." But that's a great question, Jason.
In contrast to that, you know, Chav has killed a bunch of elk.
Yeah.
And Chav, tell us about your shot choice and comfort range.
I would say at or around 45 max for me. But most of the kills I've made have been around the 30 yard mark or inside of that, actually. So, but I do practice 60, 70 yard shots. You know, right now I've moved my target out to 50 yards, and I'm shooting at that target now. I'm shooting 15 arrows a day when I can. It snowed crazy the last couple of days, so I'll be out of commission for probably a week before the ground gets solid again. But yeah, shoot long so that your shorter shots are right on, like Gilbert said. But you know, 40, 45, I would say would be my max.
Something I want to share too that's really interesting is Gilbert introduced me the other day to this thing that's happening. It sounds pretty cool. It's called Hunt Wars. And
yeah.
Isn't that what it is? Hunt Wars, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's real interesting because I was hearing today, I think I was listening to Garrett on, if you haven't listened to Garrett, we were on the On Point podcast. It's
Yes.
another great podcast. And he was interviewing the guy that started the Hunt Wars and the way that they work the scoring on that. And one of the things that they do is you actually get penalty points for the longer that your shot is on the animal, because the whole goal that they're wanting to find out is how good of a hunter are you.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, a lot of guys came into archery to get up close to kill animals, to see how close they could get, to, you know, show what kind of woodsmen, what kind of hunters they are. So it's great that you have that skill set in your back pocket if you need it. But I'm telling you, a lot of times, just a little bit of patience and you'll be able to get that type of shot. Now, there's times that it's not. I mean, an animal has come dancing out of the trees because he's caught something, and you can tell by his body language and his step, and he stops out there at 60 yards to do his fatal flaw, which is stop and look to see what scared him. He's only doing that because he's getting ready to head out of Dodge. So that's a different little deal right there. The other thing is just remember this, y'all, about longer shooting. You had better understand that animal's behavior, because the further a shot gets, the more opportunity for something wrong to happen. In other words, if that animal is already nervous and he's at 60 yards and you take a shot and your bow is not quiet, or it hears the sizzle of the fletch, or it just decides at that moment to turn, now a broadside shot could end up being a butt shot, you know, and you have a wounded animal. So the further the way that is, the more chance for something to go wrong.
Oh, yeah.
The closer that is, man, it's so much better, because it only, I mean, with your arrows traveling at 270 feet per second, it's going to be there in 20 yards before that animal can even react, man.
Yeah.
And elk do not duck, they spin. So that's something
pivot,
to remember as well. Okay.
I got another good one here, Joe. It's from Joe Grostet. He said, "Joe, what's the best exercise to build up your strength to hold your draw back for a longer time?" For me, guys, is push-ups, and another thing is I put my target in front of my TV for probably a good month before season. I knock an arrow up, I put my target in front of my TV, and while I'm watching Netflix or whatever I may be watching, an elk hunting show or whatever, I draw my bow back. My desired goal is to hold my form for 3 minutes. 3 minutes, and that is a long time, fellas. If you hold your bow back for 3 minutes, it's a long time. So that's my desired goal, and that's how I do it. I sit in front, I draw the bow back with an arrow in it, so your bow don't sound like Manano's creaking and cracking. But at the end of the day, you draw that bow back and you hold it on your target and you just sit there and wait and wait and wait as long as you can. And look, I mean, if you got to let down after a minute and 10 seconds or 30 seconds, you just start increasing that as you go, you know. But that's how I get push-ups.
So what's the in the situations in which you've actually been, you know, caught with a full draw and holding a full draw? What's the longest you think you've kept your full draw there for a true experience?
Me?
Beto.
Oh man, well, whitetail hunting or elk hunting?
Either. Which one's been the longest?
I guarantee you, I know for a fact I held it for 2 minutes and 38 seconds before I killed a deer last year that Logan filmed me for, because he looked up at me and I was not going to shoot him with him looking at me. And like I said, I had other does after I drew. I looked down and they're looking up at me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to hold this thing. So I held it for 2 minutes and 38 seconds and got to him and then sent it, you know. But I can go
and
for
sometimes 4
minutes.
It's better to hold it, to try to hold it a little longer, because if you let down and then try to draw again, that second draw is brutal, man.
It's brutal. Especially, you know, we shoot bows that are hammers, you know. When I say that, I mean, you know, Luis pulling 74, 75 pounds. I'm a little over 70. Joe's probably 75. You know, Manano shooting 75, 80 pounds. I mean, look, these bows they're stout. Now, look, we do have
to shoot 65.
Okay,
He thinks he shoots 70, but
these days our let-offs are a lot better. Joe's actually probably holding, you know, 50% of what he's pulling back. We're holding a fraction of that. We're holding 15, 20 pounds, you know.
What you got, Joe?
It's a fraction.
So one thing I was going to tell you too is if you practice holding long, you got to make sure you practice holding long and shoot, because what you're going to find out is a lot of times when you hold a long time and shoot, someone hit high to one side, and it's just a fatigue factor with your shoulder. Right. So
that's a very good point.
You understand that, and you understand. Look, it's not about always having to have your arrow hit exactly where you're aiming, but knowing where it's going to hit in certain situations. So that I hold long, fatigue yourself, and shoot. See where you're hitting with that, and practice that. And you were asking about exercises. Well, Ed Morris gave some there, but here's one of the things that I like to do, Joe, is if I have a barbell here, I like to get on a bench, one hand down, and I like to pull up just like this. Okay? And I'm going to pull up, and I can even hold that right up there. And it just works that. And even the higher that you do that, even with your elbow out a little bit, so work it behind you, work it out so that you can kind of get that, because when we draw, we get that. We don't necessarily draw from down here. This is a whole lot easier to pull than it is this up here.
Sure. So, most of that drawing motion is squeezing your back muscles together too. So, I mean, you're going to work on
barbells this way.
Right. Yeah. Flies. Flies. And guys, one of the things that'll help you too is when you draw and you have to hold, when you draw back and you feel like you're getting fatigued, if you'll take this elbow and just tuck it down just like this. Okay, now look, you're gonna have to get it back to here to be at the right anchor, right? But if you tuck it down right here, you can hold even longer.
Yeah, but I did the same, Beto, but I didn't turn my hand. I didn't turn my release. I just dropped the string and I put it close to my chest. Yeah, sure. And I hold it better.
Better leverage, right?
Yeah, I did it 3 or 4 times and it went well. I'm not recommending it, but I did and it went well. I mean,
I've done it several times. You just drop your elbow and hold it real close to your side.
I remember one morning it was really cold. I was shaking after 15 seconds, 20 seconds, and I couldn't resist it. I went straight down.
Yeah. It happened.
And I waited it for.
Like we said, it's harder to draw that second time than it is that first time, especially after holding it. You know.
Yeah. I was looking for this because Larry Cahill, I was going to tell you, man, if you're having trouble with the peep, get rid of it and get one of the nose buttons that works with your kisser button. You know, if you're having trouble because of your eyes looking through a peep, well, you can get some of those clarifier peeps that are bigger. But man, I just if I was somebody that was my problem, I tell you, I would get what's a Bomar nose
button. That's just for anchor.
And it gets that anchor, and if you're using, you just got to have the same anchor. That's all it's about, man. Chav has been shooting his bow for how long now, Chav? A year?
You know he had a peep.
About a year, yeah.
About a year. Didn't even know he had a peep on it. I mean, he had it on there, never used it because he had never had one before. And just the other day, what was that story, Chav?
Well, I was just like you mentioned, I didn't know the peep sight was there, and I was just shooting regular and pretty good bunch at 30, and the hose that holds the peep came off, and I put it back on, and then I looked at it a little bit closer and I said, "Wow, that's a peep hole." So I'm going to give it a try, and sure enough, it tightened my shots a little bit more.
Yeah.
But had never used a peephole before. That was kind of odd, but pretty neat.
Well, y'all have heard my story this year where I had a bull at 37 yards, and I drew the bow back, and boom, I got a black peep. Right, I can't see anything in that peep. Well, that's the first time that's ever happened to me. Normally, my peep doesn't turn like that. My string's getting a little old and worn, so that's where you're getting a little that creep in there. But I can't. Yeah, I came back to camp and I was boo-hooing, and I'd let my guy down that day, and I was really pissed off. I really was. So and pissed off Gilbert's way worse than upset Gilbert, right? So I said, heck with it. I'm gonna go shoot without the dadgum peep. Now I shoot about 6 inches right without the peep. So now I know, man, if I can't see through that peep, I'm just going to aim 6 inches left and let it rip, So I have no problem with that. And look, I didn't shoot with my peep out to 50 yards, and I was still hitting where I needed to go. So, but it took that failure point for me to figure that out. So you guys that shoot with a peep, y'all need to understand sometimes that peep could fall out, and there's a lot of things that can happen.
Yeah. So the other day I was after I shot that hog, it was in a swamp. It was pretty muddy, and I had to put the bow down. I had nowhere to hang it, so I had to put it kind of down on the ground to kind of manipulate the hog a little bit. When I went to pick up my my bow, I realized that I had mud covering that peep, and I obviously didn't get a shot opportunity after that. But I mean, if I would have had and I didn't realize it, it would have been the easiest thing for me to just draw and realize my peep is completely blocked. And then, I'm in the same situation you were. And with regards to what you mentioned about the nose button from Bomar,
you also shoot a bigger peep, don't you, Luis?
Yeah, I've got, so the peep
Peep?
I got now is from Total Peep.
Yep.
That's a Spanish company, and I like that design because the reason it's bigger is because it's got an hourglass shape, and what that does is even if the peep is a little turned, it will still give you the same circumference.
Gotcha.
So it has a tolerance of how much it can turn, and you can still see the same size circle at the end of the peep. So I like that. But with the nose button, man, is something I highly recommend regardless of whether or not you're using a peep, because the nose button was a game changer for me. Look, it cost me $15, I think is what they sell for. It comes in a pack of 2 of them, 2 different sizes, a smaller one and a bigger one. So I actually have them both in my 2 bows.
He's got to use the bigger one because he got a big old schnoz.
Yeah, that would be Manano. Yeah.
So I want to give a shout out. Flatlander's on here, man. Our buddy Cole.
Come on, Cole.
And if you guys have not checked out Flatlander's stuff here on YouTube, go look for Flatlander. He does some incredible stuff on there, man. Just awesome.
Yeah, I've seen some of his videos, man, of his hunting videos and stuff like that, Joe, that he's got on YouTube, man. Cool stuff, brother.
Yeah.
He's dynamite, man. And he said, what is y'all's favorite call to use to stop your elk for the shot? And look, if I have a moving animal, I'm either going to like do a grunt at that animal, a hard grunt, or I'm going to bugle at him, man, because a lot of times if you have an animal that's quietly coming in and you give a cow call, you can stop them and they'll look. But sometimes if they're just moving through, you can cow call and they just keep walking. They'll walk right through your window. But man, if you scream a bugle at them, I guarantee you, man, or you grunt at them, you can, whoa, you can just go like that if you want to. And that booger's going to stop right there, man. He's going to turn and look at you. An elk will stop and turn and look. Yep. You know, where a whitetail will probably jump and run, you know, that elk is going to stop and look to see what it is, man. So, for me, a cow call, if I have my diaphragm in my mouth, I'm either going to scream a bugle or I'm on a cow call, and it usually stops them, you know. For whitetails, when they're walking in front of me, if I want to stop them, it's a simple and I mean, they will lock up and look straight up at you, and it is over. I mean, I've already drawn, and my cherry has met the mark, and you fixing to get the whistle right through the lung area. So, I mean, you guys, when you kill, you know, I saw something on our YouTube page here just a minute ago. One of our listeners said, when you kill the first one, it gets easier. That is nothing more true has ever been said. WWJGD told me that 12 years ago. Just kill one and it'll get easier, son. And he was 100% correct, right? And now every time me and him step in the woods together, we know something's going to get it, you know. All these guys. I mean, you got the Mafia in the house, the Ninja in the house. These guys are elk killers, man. They're not just elk callers. These guys are elk killers, man. So I hunt with the biggest and baddest crew in the country. We're blessed to have these guys with us, and this has been fantastic. All these guys calling in, Flatlander, Scott Baker, all of them, man, that have been giving us this content tonight. It's been fantastic, Joe. Yeah, no, it's been awesome, man. And guys, we hope that you've enjoyed this tonight as much as we have. You know, we don't do a whole lot of these. Frankly, they worry me a little bit.
Because he knows how we could get.
You know, at 5 o'clock, you just never know what you're going to get.
He loses the leash at that point, man.
They used to Big O in elk camp, son. Ooh, you want to hold your ears and put the kids away, I promise you.
But and it's like this, man. It'd be one thing if we just had Big O that we had to deal with, but then we got Manano encouraging Big O. So.
Yeah, guys, he's sending me stuff on YouTube. Please tell us the story of the big bears, Big O.
Big bear story.
It's a lot. It's so fun to be around these guys. Y'all are getting it firsthand. But man, I love doing the live stuff because I am off the cuff, man. I can straight up get unleashed and get off the chain, and we have fun, man. All of these guys have fun. Y'all don't get to see it because, you know, before we start our intro and everything, I mean, we got a 20-minute diatribe cutting on each other, so it's pretty daggum fun, you know.
And I am going to give a shout out to Joe Grosset, man, because Joe, if you guys haven't seen Joe established 73, if I'm getting it right, Joe, I think that is. Go ahead and throw on.
Confirm that for you here in a minute, Joe.
Yeah, go ahead and throw on your Instagram.
I will. I'll actually put it in the chat also, so people can see it.
Joe does his own version of artwork that is just
awesome,
incredible, and he's always so kind to us. He's always sending stuff. You'll see it. I'll post it in our stories because I'm honoring what he does out of the kindness of his heart for us. And man, you're just the bomb, Joe. I sure appreciate it, man. Fellow New Mexican, and is just a great guy. Always.
Hey, brother Larry Gill's in the house, dude.
Larry,
man. Larry Gill, fun program, dude. Larry Gill's in the house, dude.
Glad you guys. Yeah, and that's what we're. You know, before we close out here, because actually, Gilbert, I'm going to have you close us out. But everybody that's here, I want you to hang on. And we're just going to read some of your stuff, and we're going to just have a conversation for you for a couple of minutes. But we're going to close the show out so I can end it on the recording there, and then we'll just have some BS with y'all. All right? So Gilbert,
Sounds
go ahead and
good.
close this out, man.
Fellas, if you like what we're doing, please subscribe, rate, and review us. You got to go to Apple Podcasts or iTunes to review us, and you can check out more elk hunting content at ElkBros.com. And just a reminder, if you are our listeners out there would like your questions answered on our show, just send your questions to info@ElkBros.com. That is info@ElkBros.com. And in closing our show tonight, we want to thank our friend Tony Wintrip here with his song Fever. And Joe, like we say down here in Texas to all our listeners, husbands, kiss your wives, wives, kiss your husbands, hug your babies, keep your broad head sharp and your powder dry. And we'll see y'all next week right here on Blue Collar Elk Hunting.
Here we go with Tony Wintrip and
Peace.
Fever.
I can smell the noble fur as the wind whips through the air. First day of the season, I'm all pumped that we got here. The coffee's on and daylight's creeping, the sun's coming over the hill. I wish they could bottle this rush I'm on and press it in a pill. 'Cause I got the fever, the fever. The fever I can't shake, it's got a hold of me. The fever, yeah, I got the fever, yeah. The fever that I get in the high country. Now I load up the pack I own, the outdoor edge is my fave. I'm sporting the Montana bow slings, gang bags and razor blades. I'm about to send it mountain style, let that canyon ring from the depths of Phelps Gray amp frame. We'll see what this will bring, 'cause I got the fever, the fever. The fever I can't shake, it's got a hold of me. The fever, yeah, I got the fever, yeah. The fever that I get in the high country. Now we roll off a hogback ridge a mile or two away, fighting the rocky ground, bunch of branches in our way. The echo of an angry bull sets the mood and sparks the fire, and he kicks my fever into full swing. It's on like a live wire. I got the fever, the fever. The fever I can't shake, it's got a hold of me. The fever,